So
how am I gonna start?
the next movie, Empire Strikes Back, right?
Yeah, Empire Strikes Back, the
When
sequel,
did that
obviously,
one
to
come out?
Episode 4.
When did that one come out?
It came out in 1980, May 17th. Was released in Washington D.C. and then
Hold up.
Wait,
So
it's released in D.C. days like on the 17th, and then throughout the United States on the 21st. What? The president get to watch it first? What's that about? Whatever. So
who was
yes,
the president
Empire.
at the time? Was the president at the time Ronald Reagan?
I don't know. I don't believe so. I don't know.
President.
Whatever. Look, why does that matter? Look, let's just get in.
Because it matters.
Let's just talk about
Jimmy Carter.
Empire. Jimmy Carter went and watched and got really happy, smiled really big, and then he got shot. So let's
Whoa.
The Empire Strikes Back is the sequel, of course, to A New Hope, and man, what a sequel! Honestly, Empire is better in every single way to A New Hope. A New Hope was a great little charming film. Well, not little; it's a big film for the time, but a great film. But then Empire just ups the ante in every single way. The sets look 100 times better. Special effects are better. The character interactions, because the actors have all worked together now, they're so much better. Their interactions feel great in the beginning of this movie. My God, like so, I don't know the time difference between each film. I don't know if they're saying this is like 5 years, 6 years, or whatever between each one. I'm assuming. I know people already know it. Probably there actually is. Lucas probably said, but I'm gonna assume since every movie actually took 3 years apart from each other in release, I'm assuming that 3 years is actually just 3 years. Like Empire is 3 years after A New Hope. So like that makes sense to me because the characters aren't that aged, right? They're not aged that much. I'm gonna take it from that point of view. It's 2 to 3 years after A New Hope. So Empire starts off on a planet Hoth, which is a complete snowy planet, and the reason why they're there is because they kind of had to hide out because the Empire's pissed. Okay, you just blew up their biggest weapon, the biggest and best weapon ever. You blew it up. They're mad. They want to get directly onto the rebels. They want to kill all the rebels, of course. So they're sitting on this snowy planet, and some of the first things you see is Luke riding on a tauntaun in the snow, and then he gets attacked by a wampa, which is like this big, like I don't know, abominable snowman.
Now hold on,
monster.
I forget the timeline of this movie actually, or the summary. Do we find out about the Death Star 2? Like what's happening? So when did we find out about the Death Star 2?
I think you find out about it in this one. Like they're making the Death Star 2, and that's. I'm trying to remember now.
Because why is the Empire back? Why is the Empire attacking Hoth? Why is this?
I think you just. Why are they attacking?
Well, I know
okay.
why they're attacking Hoth, but we just blew up their Death Star. Like they're
Because they sent out probe droids. So what happened was they sent out a bunch of little droids to look for them. They didn't know where the rebels went. So I think that's what they were looking for them for these 3 years, and then they finally found a glimpse of them on Hoth. And
oh yeah, because you saw, in the first movie that Darth Vader didn't die. He just like span out of control.
Ship actually throws out. So what's great is that I remember there's a scene where there's some Imperial higher ups like captains or whatever who are like admirals who are all like talking, and one's like, no, we shouldn't go to Hoth. There's nobody on Hoth. That could be anything, because they have like the droid found like one thing that looks like a base. And Darth Vader walks over. He's like, I know they're there because I could feel it. Go there now. And then he like basically he's like, you're an idiot for not wanting to go there. You're dummy, big dumb. And then he turns around and leaves. And
you are a
the guy looks all pissed off at him. But they go to Hoth, and then of course you have this. Well, before they get to Hoth, actually, before that whole thing happens, Luke gets attacked by a wampa. He's looking a little older. Not so much of a little twerp anymore. He's actually looking a little more. I noticed he's got a more defined chin. Mark Hamill was working out. He became a movie star. But Mark Hamill was definitely working on his physique as a hero. I mean, he's the main titular. He's got to look good, right? It's the 80s now. It's 1980. Got to look pretty good.
What did he look like in that movie? Like, what was the outfit?
He was wearing different outfits in that one. Like he didn't really have I don't think he really had a set outfit per se. Like he kind of did, I suppose. It was more like a brown tan, like kind of suit. But But he was wearing different outfits. Like on Hoth, obviously he's wearing like the snow outfit. But he gets attacked by a Wampa. And of course, you have the famous scene of him hanging upside down and then using the Force to really starting to get a grip of it. And he gets his lightsaber and cuts off the Wampa's arm.
Yeah, that was a good scene.
Died.
I remember watching that scene and being
we
like,
assume he just died. That Wampa's kind of creepy, actually. He's like,
dude, that thing scared the crap out of me. I saw that. I'm like,
it's actually like eating the tauntaun. Like there's like blood and stuff, and he just looks over and he's like walking over to Luke, about to eat his head off.
It was really scary. I just remember seeing like episode 5 and being like, what? Well, what's this thing? What's he using? Because he didn't really use like. This is the first time you really see him like do like the super cool Jedi stuff. Like,
well,
in the first movie,
but it's
like,
just small stuff.
It's small stuff, but it's a big thing. It's a big deal. It helps with the world building. It helps kind of show like it's like, oh damn, he can levitate stuff. Whoa! Like in the first movie, all everybody just is like, use the Force, and it's like it's not. You just close your eyes and you're like.
Well,
it's like that's the Force. This Force thing is like lame.
Well,
and then suddenly get to episode 5.
What's great about this is like, well, before we get into that, I just want to go through, I guess, some beats here. So he gets saved because Han's like, what? No. So he leaves. He goes and saves him, and he coarsely puts him in the tauntaun because Luke is just wandering the Hoth and he passes out, but he finds him. Han's like, oh my god, and he puts him in the tauntaun, and he does that. He's like breathing really heavy. He's like, they smell on the outside. He's like breathing.
They smell worse on the inside than they do from the outside.
It's almost like he reminds me of like when he was acting in Blade Runner. He gets like at the end where he's like getting beat up by he's like dude at the end. It's really funny. I don't know. His acting sometimes is so funny to me.
Harrison Ford's not that good of an actor, honestly.
I think he's pretty good. That's controversial. I think he's pretty good, actually. I think Mark Hamill's pretty good. But
I think Harrison Ford's kind of stilted, and then it's like when he overacts, you're like, it's good acting because all you've seen is like stilted nothing from him, and then suddenly he does something.
Chill out. You're about to get people mad in the comments.
Hey, some people are gonna agree with me.
I doubt it.
Tell us in the comments. Do you think Harrison Ford's a good actor? Do you not? Put it in the comments. Rate the video. Like if you like Harrison Ford.
Dylan, if you're editing this, put some golden arrows at the bottom, black. Ding, 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 ding. All right, so they gotta be red arrows. Actually, red arrows are the ones that get people to. But change them to red arrows midway between the yellow arrows. But let me see. Oh yeah, so then this big battle happens. So because like Luke sees Obi-Wan, and Obi-Wan's like, you need to go to the Dagobah system. Oh, he hears him. He's like, Dagobah system, Dagobah. It's all he's saying. Dagobah. And so they have this big fight after that because the Empire gets down on Hoth and they bring their AT-ATs or AT-ATs, whatever you want to call them, whatever. They get down there and they look awesome. These big, like walking things that have blasters on their face. There's no blasters on any side of this thing. It's kind of kind of a crappy weapon when you really think about it. It's on legs, which is bad design, obviously, because that's how the rebels take them out. What I love is like the moment that thing's down, it is like they knock like one of the what do they call it? They call them
Y-wings.
There's
X-wings.
They're not X-wings. They have a specific name. There was actually a game made after them. With the name. Nonetheless, whatever. So they fly around them.
Air speeders.
Yeah, they I don't think that's what they're called, but
snow speeders.
That's not what they are. But
they're called snow speeders.
They got a little hook and then they wrap around their legs, and I love that they did it falls, and they actually did a real explosion, I guess, on a model of one. So the moment it falls, like one blaster, they shoot at the head, and it's like, boom! It blows up. I'm like, oh my god!
It was a snow speeder.
The AT-ATs are terrible.
Oh
they look
no!
awesome. It's like they're extremely iconic, but they are terrible fighters.
When you think about it, they only have one. They only have one gun, and it's like from their nose, and it moves so slowly. Like,
who is the weapon designer at the Empire? They are awful. They have a big.
And you have the ATSTs, like the chicken.
They have the
chicken walkers.
The gigantic ultimate weapon that once you shoot into one hole, it blows it up and it's over. You think Darth Vader would be like, what's with this design flaw? Nah, don't worry about it. Nobody will ever get there. You have to be like, yeah, you got to be 1 in a million.
You got to be a Jedi.
Oh yeah, right. There's none of those.
I killed
Don't
them
worry
all.
about it. Well, he didn't do it. He helped, but he didn't do it all. But he, you know, he.
You want to say that to Darth Vader's face?
He choked me out, dude.
Yeah.
So
shut up.
They destroy these really crappy weapons. Frankly, AT-ATs are trash. They get knocked down, like, and then or you can just easily climb in.
What about
Luke helps him. Luke.
What about the ATSTs, like, or the ATTs?
We're not going to talk. Those aren't even in those. I don't think those are. Those aren't in Empire. I don't
yes,
think.
They are. ATT.
ATSTs and I don't think ATSTs aren't in until they're not in until Jedi. But
no, they're there. They're there. Yeah, you see them.
Whatever.
Oh yeah. They look janky as hell. They're like really poorly animated.
They're not poorly animated.
If you don't remember.
All right, whatever. Look, listen. Let's get back to the fight, the Hoth fight. The Hoth fight is awesome. The Hoth fight is better than any big battle in A New Hope. And I mean it because I like the way it was. The battle on the Death Star was a lot more. It was kind of a slow fight in some regards, like at the beginning, and then it kind of picks up a bit in the middle, but it's still like kind of basic compared to the Hoth fight. There's so much going on. They're like swinging in, taking down the AT-ATs. Luke goes into one and beats him up. I don't know how you get knocked out by grabbing both their heads and just not. How do you get knocked out that way? So much for helmets. You think the helmets would help you from that, but I guess not.
You can still get a concussion in a helmet.
Yeah, but I mean, from that, really, I think like a big crash in an AT-AT would actually do that. Not, and then they just get knocked out. They must hire the weakest people for the Empire or something. I guess to be fair, they do make most people slaves, like to fight for them. So maybe they are really weak people.
I'm trying to see if there's a clip of the ATST. I don't see it.
But the Hoth fight is awesome. And then after the Hoth fight, once they win, they just body the Empire again. But they know they got to leave anyways. They're like, we got to get out. We got to take the important people out. Everybody else who cares, right? Everybody else, all the other who cares. Han and Leia get up and they're like, we're gonna go. I got a friend. We can go to my friend's place. They're like, okay. Oh well, first they go through an asteroid field, and there's a whole thing with them. They're hiding the asteroid field, and then they get out and they're like, oh my god, it was an Alaskan bullworm, and they fly out. They were actually sitting in an Alaskan bullworm the whole time, which is pretty epic. And they're like, I know where you can go, my friends. But before we get to that, there's awesome stuff of Luke going to the Dagobah system, and he meets one of the most famous Star Wars characters. He meets Yoda. Yeah. I don't know why you didn't let me build that up at all. You just Yoda. You don't even let me.
Because who gives a fuck? He's some weird old. He looks like a shriveled up ball sack.
Yeah, but that's great. What I love.
Oh, that's what you like, shriveled up ball sacks.
Here, my whole idea of Yoda is how they interpret Yoda now, and how he really is in the most part. I never actually knew that Yoda had a goofy side to him. I always thought Yoda was always very stoic and very like serious about everything, because that's how I've always seen him throughout any interpretation of Yoda. But the first time you meet Yoda in this, he's really a weirdo. He's like he's going through all of Luke's. Like Luke's just sitting there like on the planet chilling out. He's like, all right, R2-D2, we're just gonna eat a little bit. And he's trying to eat, and all of a sudden this little green ball sack man walks over and starts eating all his stuff. He's like, hey, don't eat that. What are you doing? And he just keeps digging through his stuff. He's like, what are you doing? Just leave me alone. Then he takes these like, what is he? He grabs a flashlight. And R2-D2 grabs a flashlight from Yoda, and he's like, well, even Luke's just like, R2, just give him the damn flashlight. Let him have it. And then R2's like, fine. And he lets him walk away, and Yoda's just walking away with a fucking flashlight. And then, of course, they get to the conversation where Luke's like, okay, well, I'm looking for a Yoda. Do you know a Yoda? He's like, oh, yeah, we know Yoda. He's like, I know Yoda. Yes, follow me. And Luke's like, all right. And then he gets pissed off when he gets to Yoda's house, because Yoda's like, we're going to eat first. He's like, no, I don't want to eat, dude. Where the fuck is Yoda, dude?
Where's Yoda? Come on.
He's like, I am Yoda. And then he gets really serious at that point. Where he's of course, Luke's like, hey, I was told to go here from Obi-Wan, and then Obi-Wan's disembodied voice starts speaking to him. Come on, Yoda, give him a chance, please. He's like, he is too old to go through Jedi training. He's like, come on, Yoda, dude, I'm dead. Come on, dude. I'm fucking dead here. I died for this kid. Please. He's like, he doesn't even believe in himself. He's kind of a scrub. Yoda, please.
It's a bit of a pussy.
Yoda, he doesn't even play with his starship toy anymore. I knew he played with it. I didn't even have to. I knew he played with toy. I knew it. But yes, I love Yoda's puppet first and foremost. The puppet looks good. It actually looks pretty good. The way it moves is it's got a charm to it too. Like it's got that old school charm where he's like the way they had him walking with his little cane really quick. His face movements. He's actually got a decent amount of face movement too for that puppet. They can move the ears. His mouth, of course, is really mess. I think the hand itself can mess with the nose and the mouth, and the eyes actually blink. pretty nice. It's a nice looking little puppet. They got the little scraggly ass hairs on his head and his ears. I think there was hair coming out of his ears. He really did look like a ball sack. But
you know what's funny?
What?
I'm kind of like you. I saw the prequels, and then I don't remember how I saw them. I think I saw the prequels first, and then the original trilogy because I watched.
And you realized what you were missing out on. Damn.
And no. I was really confused because I saw this awesome Yoda, like the CGI Yoda.
Oh yeah, he's like doing flips and stuff.
I was like, whoa, he's doing flips and shit, and it's like.
And then you just see. Well, to be fair, he is much old. He is much older. I guess he's not that much older, to be honest, in Yoda years. But whatever.
He's like only 20 more years. He's only 20 years older.
And it's older than 20 years. I think from 3 to 4, there's a pretty big.
Because Luke's born at the end of 3.
Oh, he is? Oh, never mind. Then.
Luke and Leia are both born, and then Obi-Wan.
Oh yeah, so it's only 20 years, less than that. What the hell? Whatever.
Yeah, what the fuck happened to Yoda those 20 years?
He was sitting on Dagobah getting old, man.
He was
drinking
sniffing
that
those
juice.
fucking swamp fart gas.
Yeah. But Yoda then gets serious and he's like, okay, fine. I'll Obi-Wan, your dead, disembodied Obi-Wan voice because you didn't want to be in the movie. All right. What we'll do is I'll teach them and we'll see what he does. And so we get these great scenes. First off, Dagobah looks great. I love the set they did for Dagobah. It's just a swamp, but it looks awesome with all the smoke and all the fog and stuff. It looks great. And he's obviously training him. Like he shows him running with Yoda on his back.
It was one of my favorite. It was one of my favorite levels in the Lego Star Wars 2.
What, were you training with Yoda?
Yeah.
What does he sit on your back?
Yeah.
So he's got him in a little basket, I think, or something. Or I think he's just hanging onto his back. It looks awesome. And he there's a part, of course, a really famous part where he's like, you got to, don't bring a weapon with you. And of course, Luke just looks at him and brings a weapon with him anyways. Your weapon will not work or whatever, and he takes it with him anyways. But then of course he fights, he fights Darth Vader, defeats Darth Vader, cuts off his head, and then you look and it's like Luke's face.
It's his face. He's like a little bit of foreshadowing for the end of the film.
That's the Force kind of telling him it's his Force, because I guess his Force powers aren't really explained, but that's kind of the magic of the Force. It's a writing tool. They can kind of just move the story forward and move parts forward with the Force.
And they can also use it to really great effect, because you see, like Luke, like, what does it mean? Why is Luke's face under Darth Vader? I don't know. And then,
but they use the Force as a tool a little later when Luke is training. He's actually doing a handstand while levitating stuff with the Force. He's getting better. Oh, before that, actually, what a great scene was when Luke's entire ship sinks into the swamp and he's like, oh my god, like, what am I gonna do now? And then Yoda lifts the whole thing up with the Force. Like he tells him, you can lift it up with the Force, you know that, right? And Luke's like, what? No way. He's like, okay, you're a scrub, of course you're not gonna believe me, you suck. And he's like, okay, hold on, I'll try. And he tries. He's like, I can't do it. And then Yoda
there's no try, only do.
Yeah, which is good. And then Yoda does it and he says, I can't believe that. And then immediately he says, and that is why you fail. And it's just like, that's like, dang. Like Luke must have been like, bruh. Then of course, before we go into the other part, we learn they go to this Cloud City planet, and
we get to meet that super cool Orlando Bloom.
Lando Calrissian is actually
Lando Calrissian.
We meet Lando Calrissian, who I love the fact. This is what I love about Star Wars. Continuing with the Star Wars, what I love about it is that there's so much mystery. You don't know everything, like the world's lived in. So Han goes up to him. He's like, like first, what is it? Like he gets off and like Lando keeps him at gunpoint. He's like what are you doing here? And like Han's actually like, oh shit, like he's still pissed off at me. And all of a sudden he comes up and he like acts like he's about to hit him, and Han's like, and then he's like gives him a hug. He's like, hey man, he's like, come on, what are you playing for? I'm like, oh, that's awesome. Like the character interactions in this are so good. That is such a great scene. And then like they're both like sitting there, in Han's like, I can't believe you're actually like, you know, a big wig here at Cloud City. That's crazy. Like, how are you liking it? And he's like, oh, you know, it's going well. Then of course you learn that Lando kind of got forced into screwing over his friend. He had a deal, but Lando, you could tell he's a good guy. They didn't set him up to just be a scumbag. Lando's like, just don't hurt them. You said we promised you wouldn't hurt them. And then of course Darth Vader's like, look, I have power. I can change the deal whatever I want. He changes it multiple times, and Lando's like, what the hell? And Lando gets so screwed over that he says, screw it, I'm going to screw over Darth Vader, and he tries to save them. So his whole deal was, okay, I know I could tell Han really cares about, and Han even said like, you know, I care about them more. It doesn't matter about me. So Lando's like, okay, well, fine. As long as these guys can be saved, Leia, Chewie and stuff, and C-3PO, as long as they can be saved, whatever, right? Like you can have Han. And so we get, and that's what Luke gets warned about. He's like, oh, I sense that my friends are in danger. And Yoda's like, bruh, you're not even ready. Like, don't go. This isn't going to be good.
Well,
And
I don't
Luke's,
understand. I don't get it. It's like,
what?
Yoda can see into the future, right?
Kind of. The Force isn't just like a future tool. Like it's not like you see exactly.
I mean, like I feel like there would be a way he could sense that this is kind of just part of Luke's destiny, is to not complete his training.
No. He can sense, but he doesn't know what's gonna happen. Saying he feels that if Luke goes there's a chance that Luke would die, or he would get captured, or something bad would happen. That's what he's saying. He doesn't actually know everything. It's not like if he knew, of course. Be easy for them to just write Yoda saying, yes, go, you will be good, you will be fine. No, he just knew that you shouldn't go, you should stick to your training. Real talk. And he's like, no, I must go. And he goes, and Obi-Wan of course talks. He's like,
Luke drops out of his, his college plan.
Yeah, he's like, Obi-Wan's like, Yoda, bro, he's our only hope though. And then Yoda's like, there is another one. And then you're like, another one? Who's that? Then of course Luke goes over to Cloud City. He's being told it's a trap. It's a trap! Oh my god! Luke, please! And of course, Luke's like, yeah, I'm still gonna try to save my friends. And this is where you see Han get frozen. He gets frozen into that slab. Very famous scene, of course, where she kisses him and she's like, Han, I love you. And he's like, I know. Which apparently was all ad-libbed. That part, because he apparently forgot his line. He was supposed to say I love you too or something like that. He forgot his line, so he said I know. And it was like very Han Solo. So it was like, okay, that's actually pretty iconic. He gets frozen and it looks pretty good. Of course, they say like he could possibly die. Of course.
Oh yeah, Harrison Ford's such a good actor.
Yeah, and so they oh yeah, like there aren't great actors. Oh yeah, only the best actors never.
Yeah, all right, keep going.
So they freeze him. He survives, of course. There's a little switch on the side. They're like, he survived. They're like, because Darth Vader's like, I want to freeze. His whole plan is he wants to freeze Luke and then turn him over to the dark side. Because the Emperor wants to see him, but he's like, look, let's freeze him, but I want to test it on somebody to make sure it doesn't kill Luke. Okay, let's freeze Han because nobody gives a shit about Han Solo. So they freeze him. He survives. They're like, good. So we know Luke will survive. To be fair, you think Leia would have been like a little more like freaking out. I'm not saying she should have been crying her eyes out, but she literally like Han could have died right there. But whatever. He gets frozen. Then Luke shows up, and that's where we have this fight with Darth Vader. A great fight, which kind of shows you the difference of how we see lightsaber fights now. Lightsaber fights now are like flipping and this crazy shit. And that was like, it's more like an actual sword fight. Like they're actually like standing their ground and like kind of hitting each other and going back and everything like that.
Kind of reminds me of sorry to get off topic. It's a kendo. I don't know if you've
that's what it's
kendo.
Yeah, once again the Japanese sword fighting references. That's inspirations. That's what it is. It's a bit of like that with also like Western medieval style sword fighting. It's not flashy. Like it's flashy in a way because it's like their swords are like lit up and it looks nice, but it's not. The way they're fighting is more traditional, I guess, in some regards. They're fighting. I love one shot I really like in this is where he hits like one of the pipes or whatever, and then all this smoke hits hits the scene, and the way they framed it, whether it be on accident or not, it looks great. All the smoke fills most of the frame, and then on this left side here, they're both fighting still. So it looks great. It looks awesome. Like all the smoke fills the room, all the fog fills the room, and they're still fighting in that one frame. It looks great.
And it's all it's a really well choreographed. It's like a genuinely tense fight. Like there's long pauses. They're holding their ground, and then it's like pause, pause.
And what I like too is that like the way they worked it together. Like he actually pushes Luke into the pit, and Darth Vader's like, "Oh, I win," you know. And he's like, because even he gives him confidence. He's like most impressive. Like he sees things like, "Oh, Luke's actually improving," but you still can tell that Darth Vader is better than Luke. He is better than Luke. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. He's better than Luke at fighting. He's obviously just
more experienced.
Well-versed. Yeah, he beats him, and then of course Luke gets out of it. He like uses the force power to jump out, like whoom! He jumps out, and that's where like he's like, oh, okay, I see you're starting to handle the force. I see you. But then of course they go to a different area, and this is where Darth Vader just like starts using the force, he's like throwing boxes on Luke, and Luke's like, oh no, I'm getting beat. I'm trying to think like what's great about the juxtaposition for this, because you've seen the heroes won pretty easily in the first movie. They won very easily, and then here's the second movie, and Luke just gets bodied. He like at the end of that fight, he just gets bodied. You know, he gets to a point, he gets his hand cut off.
Yeah, no, and he's standing over there. He gets his hand cut off, and then Darth Vader's like, "I'm your dad. I just cut your hand
very
off."
Infamous scene. Yeah, you're very infamous. Tell him just join the dark side. You would get much. I can guarantee you'll be stronger than ever before.
You won't get your hand cut off anymore.
Bitch ass hero. Yeah, you won't. We'll give you a new hand. You'll be fine. And Luke's like, yeah! And then he jumps off. And Darth Vader probably like, oh damn, that sucks. Oh well, he's dead. Bye. Just like, you know, he leaves.
Like
Luke
that's
somehow.
Yeah.
This is the only jank part about it is Luke somehow like angles himself somehow into a pipe, and then he's like hanging onto this little antenna. And he's like, oh, Leia, please. And then Leia, of course, because she is also a Skywalker, she kind of senses him, and she's like, oh shit, like I know exactly where Luke is. And they go and get him. They save Luke. And the movie ends, of course, with Luke getting a robotic hand, and them just standing over, like he's standing next to her, puts his arm on her, and they're just looking there at the galaxy. And it's like a great ending, because you want to just immediately go, you're like, oh, I want to see what happens next.
Can I talk about like the reason I like that scene? Because
while he's holding her?
No. It's just the hand itself. Like they're just a little bit of extra world building. They poke it like ooh.
Oh yeah.
Ooh, ah. And I don't know, that always stuck with me as a kid, because I thought it was like, because like sometimes I would poke my fingers, be ooh, ee, ooh, ah, ee.
Oh yeah, like they're testing the scent. Like they could easily just show like one little thing, flip them, that's it. They actually put more detail into it. Yeah, it's awesome.
I love that. I like, even when I was like a little babby.
I don't know if this was an added effect or whatever, but I think he moves his fingers, and like you see all the little parts like that could have been something added. Maybe it was the original. This is again. Of course, this is the problem with the added editions. I personally don't know that. I can look it up, but I just by watching it, that's what hurts. I don't know what's a true original effect anymore, or what's been changed. I can say I feel that the effects in Empire were far more subtle than the ones were in New Hope. Where the New Hope was just like so.
For the New Hope, what the infamous scene with Han shot first? Which version does Star Wars Disney Plus have? Did Han shoot first?
It's where Greedo shoots slightly first, and then Han reacts.
With the weird head thing, like.
Yeah, because they did that so that, because originally when they first edited it, it was slightly slower, so they get it to match the original speed. In my opinion, they should have just had Han shoot first. I always thought Han shooting first makes more sense. Why not? I mean, Han.
Why did he decide? Like in 1998,
because Han's a hero, and I guess he felt that that's too easy. But that's kind of like Han.
That's the point. That's his journey. That's his character journey. He goes from being a self-centered asshole to giving himself up for his friends. That's his journey. And George Lucas didn't give a shit about
I don't know. I don't know why that bothered Lucas so much. I always thought it was great that he shot first. He knew Greedo was going to shoot him, so he's like whatever.
He's like a badass. That's like such a badass thing. He's like.
Yeah, he's literally sitting there with his legs up, and he's just like shoots him. I don't know.
So badass, and then they just made it less badass.
That's a bad edit. That's always been a bad edit. I think they should, if Disney ever wants to redo it one more time, if they're gonna wait till the day Lucas dies, then they'll do it. bring back Han shoots only. I'm fine with that. But yeah, Empire ends beautifully, where you're like, oh my god, like you immediately want to see the next one. Think about it. People had to wait 3 years nowadays. I mean, this new Star Wars trilogy happened so quickly. Like we got all 3 films pretty fast.
Like all three films within like 4 years.
That was like they had to wait 1980. Empire's a thing, and then they had to wait 3 years after that ending to see what happens next. That would piss me off. Like that would piss me the hell off, dude. Like, but that's what's great because people were so excited. They were like, oh my god, dude, Jedi. But nonetheless, I absolutely loved Empire. Empire was excellent film.
Excellent music, especially.
Well, of course, all the Star Wars films, they're all well put together.
Great
they
orchestra. The sound effects were even better. Like the Hoth fight, you know, the sounds like the air speeders go.
Is that what you're gonna do? This whole thing? All the sounds. It is the special. Everything was up the ante, and that's exactly what a sequel should do for a movie. Some movies should definitely look back in the past to realize that sequel should be done. They should be better than the first in every way. Any kind of complaint that anybody would have had, just do it better. Do everything better. Better character interactions, better writing, better special effects, better fights, better choreographed fights. Everything was just better. The sword fighting was so much better. Like the first lightsaber fight you had was with Obi-Wan and Darth Vader. It was honestly kind of it was kind of rough.
Did you see the fan recreation of that first fight between Obi-Wan?
Was it way better?
No. Okay. So, it's hard to say. It incorporates some of like the prequel choreography with like the spinning.
Like doing flips.
But here's the thing: they do it in a way that like looks really good for Obi-Wan. So it's a way more. Oh, whoops. It's a way more.
I don't know.
Let me just show you real quick. Obi-Wan versus Darth Vader remastered. It's actually really good. I'll be editing this, so. Reimagined. So it was called Reimagined.
Oh, 6 minutes. I'm gonna have to just. Oh wait, I've seen spits of this. He had like new music into it.
And it's like really cool.
Yeah.
They use
actually, you know what? The special effects that they did for this, by the way, like they actually added lights and stuff to Darth's helmet, like to actually match. Because they're in the original.
They like RTX on.
Yeah, essentially, that's the one thing that I'm so used to now. Like the lightsabers actually shining off and stuff. Back then, they didn't have an actual light on the set. It was just a white stick. That's all it was. So they added the lights, so they didn't have that kind of effect to do that. It would look bad. So it's this guy actually did. There's actually a lot of like really crazy special effects that are put into this thing. This guy actually really worked his ass off to do something like that. No matter whether you like it or not, you at least have to appreciate the effort that this guy went through just for his own fan. He didn't do this for Disney. He did it on his own. He just wanted to do it. That's a lot of work, man.
And it's like some of the edits are kind of like, but.
I mean, it's not perfect, but it's genuinely impressive. I think in many ways.
Like, at least on a 10. But it's kind of like it's a little strange seeing like old man Obi-Wan like flying around like that a little bit. I guess he's it's okay, so it's not like prequel levels of ridiculous, but it's kind of bordering on that.
What are we talking, man? Empire.
All right.
Empire's a great film. Look, Empire's a great film. I can see why a lot of people love Empire. I mean, the name alone, the Empire, that's what it is. The Empire Strikes Back. This whole thing, it tells you right there. It's spoiling it right there. The Empire are going to strike back, and they're going to strike back hard. A lot of the characters that you like are going to get defeated, beat. I mean, they got pretty defeated. Like,
yeah, that was a really low note to end on the second movie. Imagine being in the theater and seeing that ending and being like, hold up.
Such a high on A New Hope. Like, everybody won. You're like, yeah. And then you see the ending where you're like, oh my god.
No!
Our team sucks. Our team sucks. How are they gonna? You gotta think about that time. Like, how are they gonna win? Like, you don't have the sequel at the time. You just have this, and you're like, how? Luke's not a master. Han's gone.
Is Luke gonna go back to Dagobah? Is he gonna like train with Yoda again?
Like the Empire's rebuilding their godlike thing, so all that, it almost feels like the effort they went through in the first movie is like a waste now.
They're on a time crunch as well because, like you said, it's being rebuilt. Darth Vader knows Luke. We have this new like power dynamic, this family dynamic. Like, so what's gonna happen? What does Luke have a mommy? But I bet somebody was asking like, who's Luke's mom? Is Leia Luke's mom or something? Somebody probably had a fan theory about that back in the 80s. Like, Leia is actually Luke's mom.
Leia is actually Leia Epic.